Alright guys, welcome to Flavio Rihanna's MMA show. I'm your host, Flavio Rihanna, brought to you by Four Corner Sports. Alright guys, so we had some big news that ended up getting broken yesterday. Alright, two things actually. I'll speak about the Joesph Benavidez retirement a little later on towards the ending of the video. But first, we have some breaking news. Alright, Brett Okamotto of ESPN ended up reporting that the UFC is going to have the trilogy fight of Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo. All right, in one calendar year already, these two gentlemen would have already fought 3 times. All right, last December, the first time that's when they ended up fighting at the Apex Center, and that was supposed to be Deiveson Figueiredo's second title defense. Mind you, guys, they were on the pay-per-view, the card, what's it called, the previous pay-per-view. That's when Figueiredo was making his first title defense against Alex Perez, and that's when Brandon Moreno was fighting Brandon Royval in the feature prelim of that card, right? So, what's it called? They were both asked to take the fight on 3 weeks' notice, and they said yes. So the first fight was phenomenal. One of the best flyweight fights I've seen in quite some time, if not ever. All right. Obviously, we knew how the end result ended up happening because of the draw. All right, ended in a draw because of the fact that Deiveson Figueiredo ended up grabbing onto the fence, and I can't remember if it was Herb Dean or I don't think it was Dan Mergliato or anything like that, but somebody ended up deducting a point, and then it screwed everything up when it comes to the judges' scorecard, and you ended up coming into a majority draw. Okay, so that ended up happening. That ended up giving us the sequence of the rematch. Okay, the rematch was in June. I believe it was like June 16th, if I'm not mistaken. It was in Arizona. All right, first time they had a card there in quite some time. All right, Arizona, they had with the COVID restrictions and everything else, they were able to have a full capacity crowd, which is what Dana White wants, right? So in the co-main event, it was Figueiredo trying to get the better of Brandon Moreno, but Brandon Moreno, looked well prepared. Figueiredo looked like he was completely dehydrated. It looked like he had a bad weight cut, and I'm not making excuses for Figueiredo. I'm actually a Brandon Moreno fan, but from what I saw, all right, Figueiredo was the last person to, jump on the scale and weigh in the night before. It just didn't work out well. He looked very dehydrated, looked very tired. The cardio was not there. And Moreno just looked like the put together fighter, all right? From the jiu-jitsu to the striking department to, the grappling. Moreno had Figueiredo beat in every single aspect. And in the second fight, the fight ended up ending, I believe, in the second, if not third round. Figueiredo was forced to tap out due to a rear naked chokehold. And then you saw the infamous, interview with Joe Rogan, where Moreno's crying, had his family around him. It was a very beautiful moment. All right, guys, I can't imagine, too many people disliking Moreno unless you're a big Deiveson Figueiredo fan. But it was a very touching moment, all right? And it was huge. He became the first ever Mexican-born champion, all right? I know we had Cain Velasquez as a heavyweight champion. He had Mexican descent in him. But Cain, if I'm not mistaken, was born in Arizona, right? If I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me know. But, Brandon Moreno was born in Tijuana, Mexico, right? So, it was a big deal, huge deal, all right? Reason why it's a huge deal is because, look, if you guys ever watched boxing, all right, or if you watch, like baseball, whatever, that the Mexican, fan base, right, the Mexican population, they're going to stand behind their guy, all right? They're going to stand behind their guy. Look what they're doing with Canelo, all right? Canelo's getting so much love from the Mexican community, whether it's in LA, Chicago, New York. He fights in Mexico, Dallas. Plenty of fans out there that they support him, that his own people love him and adore him. All right, I'm gonna bring it to you with baseball. Venezuela, right? I can't believe, I don't know if I'm butchering the name or not. The Dodgers pitcher, Francisco Venezuela. That guy was a phenomenal pitcher, lefty too. All right, the guy what's it called? One of the best pitchers in the '80s, and the Mexican population loved him. They were standing behind him. They had like a nickname. Whenever he pitched was Valens. I can't even pronounce that. I'm like tongue twisting everything, but you see what I'm talking about, right? This is very huge because of the fact that, getting back now to the UFC and MMA, the fact that Brandon Moreno is the very first ever Mexican-born fighter to win a championship is huge, because Dana White has even said it. This guy, if he wins, Mexico's gonna explode in the best way possible, because they're gonna, be supportive of their guy. You saw how Irene Aldana, reacted when he ended up winning. You saw how Brian Ortega and Tracy Cortez reacted when Moreno ended up winning. All of those, fighters that I mentioned either were born in Mexico or have Mexican blood inside of them. All right, and they were very, very proud, and they're very supportive of Moreno, who is a great representative for the Mexican, community when it comes to fighting in the UFC. All right. If he wins against Deiveson Figueiredo, not only will that close a chapter of this rivalry, but, this could shoot him into superstardom. Superstardom in the aspect of this. Moreno, if you look at him, he looks like any other person in the world, all right? He's a cool guy, he's very respectful, a very friendly person, has a great personality. I know he loves Legos and anime and Fun Pops or whatever they called, all right? Stuff that, the regular, average Joe, is, ends up doing. Okay. But, he looks like us, he looks, what is he, like 5'6"? I'm 5'10", so I tower 4 inches over him. All right. He weighs $125. He just looks like any ordinary person. Unlike Francis Ngannou, like if you see him, walking in the middle of the street, you're like, oh man, like that guy's, a specimen right there. That guy looks like an 8th wonder or 7th wonder of the world. Look how his body, is. Look like he's chiseled. All right, Moreno does not look anything like that. Just looks like an ordinary person that just works hard to get himself to the point that where he's at right now. And then plus, like I said before, if he keeps on winning, he beats Figueiredo, that closes that chapter out there, and then he could go on a serious run on trying to defend that belt. All right, defend it against Askar Askarov, Alexander Pantoja. Plus, the UFC was trying to get either Alexander Pantoja or Askar Askarov to fight. All right, Askar Askarov, if I'm not mistaken, was just coming off, has an injury, and he's not going to be ready by then. And Pantoja, wanted to fight Moreno, but was not going to be able to be ready by December. So then that's when he ended up asking Deiveson Figueiredo. All right, which is very important because of the fact that, guys, I feel like as fighters, all right, as a fighter, you want to keep yourself ready at all times, because title shots don't come around very often. All right, there's very few in between where you do get a title shot and out of luck. Look what happened to Michael Bisping. He stayed ready, and then he capitalized on the moment against Luke Rockhold, and he ended up capturing the UFC middleweight championship, which that was like the final piece that he needed to get into the Hall of Fame, and he's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, so that's what's in it. It sucks that Pantoja was not going to be ready for December, but hopefully he'll be ready the next time the UFC calls him, for a potential title shot. Okay, so at least Figueiredo was ready. He knew that, the UFC could call him, and the fact that he knew that they would most likely call him, he stayed ready. He was in the gym. He was prepping, for a possible title shot, a third time around against Brandon Moreno, and that's very big right there. All right, so yeah, so Moreno wins. We get to close on the chapter of the Moreno Figueiredo rivalry. But if Deiveson Figueiredo wins, well then we might be opening ourselves up to a potential part 4 of this rivalry, which is very rare that we have, a 4-fight rivalry, all right, between two fighters. Very rare. Okay. Plus, that might end up holding up the division, and that's not something that you want to do. All right. We saw that recently in the heavyweight division between Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. All right. And then look what happened. All right. The title, wasn't moving around. The only person that has gotten a title shot in between all that was Derek Lewis. And Derek Lewis was forced to tap out because Daniel Cormier, put a rear naked chokehold on him in Madison Square Garden. All right, so what's it called? Huge stuff with the flyweight division. Also, we had yesterday. It was news. Former was a 4-time title challenger Joesph Benavidez ended up hanging it up, calling it a quits. He's retiring from the sport. He's retiring from the UFC, retiring from the sport of MMA. Very big out there because of the fact that Benavidez was one of the good guys, all right, in the flyweight division. That at one point I thought that was going to be a flyweight champion, but just never could have sealed the deal. All right, he had the rivalry with Mighty Mouse Johnson. He also had the rivalry with Henry Cejudo, and just when Cejudo, leaves the flyweight division, I'm thinking, all right, Joe B got next. Joesph Benavidez got next, but then runs into a buzzsaw in Deiveson Figueiredo, right? The accidental headbutt was the reason why, he lost most likely the first fight, because things were looking good for him in that first round of the first fight. The accidental headbutt, plus the fact that Deiveson Figueiredo wasn't able to make weight, so that was just an additional discrepancy that Benavidez could have used. Hey, I couldn't win this fight against Figueiredo because of this, the headbutt and the fact that he missed weight. They fought the second time, and Figueiredo made weight and destroyed Benavidez inside of 1 round, forcing him to tap out. And I'm thinking, you know what, Benavidez looks too touched up, looks too damaged throughout the wars that he's had in his career, that, it may just be that, it wasn't meant for him. And I think he realized that, and he just saw, hey, I may not be good enough to compete for a title. He's in his mid to late 30s, and it just wasn't gonna get any easier, because you're seeing a new, fresh faces inside that flyweight division, where you have young, hungry lions that are just gonna be wanting to challenge for the title. All right, you got guys like Manel Kape. You guys have like Alexander Pantoja, Askar Askarov. All right, Brandon Moreno. He's still young up there. He's not even 30 yet. You have Deiveson Figueiredo. All right, Brandon Royval. All right, these are young, hungry lions that are just going to be competing in the flyweight division for years to come. And it just didn't seem like Joesph Benavidez was going to be getting anywhere near close to getting a possible title shot down the line. But yeah, guys, so that covers everything. All right, UFC announced some big news in the announcement of the trilogy of Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. Moreno being the title holder, gonna make his first title defense against Figueiredo. If Moreno wins, this is gonna close the chapter of that rivalry. If Figueiredo wins, most likely we'll see a part 4, which we rarely ever see in sports. Okay, and then lastly, the retirement of Joesph Benavidez. Didn't see that coming, but I most likely should have. I should have seen it coming, just because of the fact that what I pointed out there, it just didn't seem like Joesph Benavidez was going to be sticking around if he knew he wasn't going to get a title shot anytime in the near future. Until then, guys, I am Flyweight Rihanna. All right, please hit the like and subscribe button, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Really helps out the channel. And this weekend we have Ryan Spann versus Anthony Smith on ESPN Plus. Can't wait to see that. So then, I'm your host, Flyweight Rihanna, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace, guys, and have a good one.